Hey guys, it's Gus, and I recently hosted a stream where I was hosting Tower of the Mad Mage, and anybody who wanted to join the group who did more damage than me got a free Colmo. It was great. We had 14 players come and try to take my Colmotes. We would have had more, but I just didn't have enough time. The stream went over 3 hours, and I just couldn't do it anymore. But about this run is I ran a very unique build and I did not show it the run. And I wasn't going to share this build, but I've noticed since I've been using this build since the video, there's been a lot of comments about it because this build can hurt other builds. Let me show you what I mean. You're going to notice first the item level is pretty low. Normally I can be around 114, 115k item level. So for this particular dungeon, I dropped my item level by about 4,000. And I did that because I went with lower item level gloves that give crit when you're with a single enemy, because most of Tower of the Mad Mage is a single enemy. And so since I had the crit gloves, now I needed crit salves, so I went with the lower item level boots as well. A lot of people would probably question the bismuth weapon sets, and yeah, you might be right. Uh, just from what I've been seeing, is the weapons are just so close to each other on their damage potential. It's very hard to pick a clear cut winner. Um, these have by far the highest item level, which helps your base damage as well as your companions. I know a lot of people say your companion damage doesn't matter, and you're right. Unless you're trying not to lose 15 plus cold motes, then you're trying to get down to every nitty detail you can. I normally don't run with the crystal soul flight, and I would have ran any artifact the challengers were running. But most of them had crystals, so just staying on the crystal made it very easy to sort because we wanted the stream to go as fast as possible and get as many matches as we could. Still using the detector set. I didn't go over every item. The combat advantage helmet, which is a big stinker because this takes 50 seconds for it to activate, which means you're missing all that combat advantage for the first artifact call in Tower of the Mad Mage. Using the crit combat advantage accuracy chest from Master Layer of the Mad Dragon. These gloves, I think they come from Advanced Imperial Citadel or Master Imperial Citadel. I think they might come from Moon Dancer. It's been so long since I got them. And these boots, we get upgrading from doing the Underdark campaign. I think we get them from. I think we need the currency from Master Temple the Spider, but this has been a long time, so please don't hold that against me for not knowing exactly where I got them. Still using the detector set for this dungeon. As a ranger, we use a lot of encounters, so our uptime on this set is very high. And I needed all 12.25% offensive ratings to make this build work. I'm using both power rings, so this ring gives you 7% power, and this ring gives you 4% power when you have 5 people in your group. I'm also using the power shirt. And you're like, why would you use the power shirt and power rings? Well, here's the crux of the build. And I was not going to share this actually. I was going to keep it close hold for now. But the problem is I've been using this build since I did that stream, and it's been creating issues because other people's damage goes down. So what makes this unique and stand out and probably have more damage potential than previous builds is, if you notice, for companions, I don't have any stat companions. Every one of these are doing damage for me. So I have a Batiri, I have a Minsk, I have a Hank, I have a Rat Pup, and I have a Celestial Lion. I'd rather use something like another damage companion here. There's just so few choices for the utility slot that I just couldn't make it work. So, if this is proc during an artifact call, it's huge damage. The companion had summon, doesn't matter as long as it was the same companion everybody else is working. So it was 110,663 item level, 5 damage companions, and the stats were really good. You can't see it here. So this build was missing 1.7% offensive ratings at most. So crit sev was capped, Crit strike was 89.6. Combat advantage was capped. Accuracy is at 89.8. Unless I use the invocation for accuracy, which brought me up to 90, which, as you saw, I was doing basically every match, so that was at 90. And then power was the one low one. This was at 118.7, so I was missing 1.3% power. So 1.3% power and 0.4% crit strike for a total loss of 1.7. Uh, why I say that's max stat loss is because we're getting a lot of power from other sources. If any of the supports are using anything that grants nearby members forte, for example, this ring right here, that increases your power. And then we also have Blessed Advantage, which when you get healed, you're getting, and this activates, you get 6% power from that as well. So power, even though it was at 118.7, it was usually capped. So yeah, we just recently with this module got 90% more offensive ratings. Combat advantage, power, and crit sev went from 90% to 120%. So all three of them are 90% offensive ratings. So even though I needed 90% more ratings, I was still able to do that with 5 damage companions. And the reason we can do that is because the meta right now is support companions. And we didn't have anything particularly, uninsightful in there. We had Portobello, Flapjack, Tutor, which are normal and 5-man content. And then we had the Blue Fire Eye and Atrian, which most groups now in 10-man content are using. Blue Fire Eye gives everybody 3% crit, and Atrian gives everybody 2% power and 2% crit. And I needed all those stats. I was able to use them. And there's still more companions out there we can add. For example, the Dreadwire or Minsk or however. There's damage companions are out, support companions are in. But I thought you might find this interesting. A close buddy, a good friend, suggested I keep this to myself. But the problem is, without me using Raptor, other people are like, "Who's missing a Raptor?" And so I'm like, "I am." And they're like, and then they start thinking, "Oh, that's how. Okay, you're not using a Raptor." So the cat was out of the bag. The Minsk, I'm sorry, the Hank and Rat Pup on Rangers are particularly good just because we use so many counters. I believe on Bard, if you get a sick rotation where what's it called, Performer activates and you get all your encounters back, yeah. And with the onset, fairly recent onset of all these powers, insignia mount powers that reduce our cooldowns, a lot more people are getting more encounters during the artifact call, and that's when this stuff is shining. So I'm not saying they're uniquely good for rangers, but I think they're going to be good for other classes. They're not going to be as good. Um, Insignia. I guess I'll go over insignias real quick. I use the golden warhorse. The reason being is for this particular dungeon, we had to hit super super fast. For example, sorry, I had to mute myself for a sec. For example, at the end of phase one, you could sometimes get your mount power off right before he phased. And Big B's hand takes a while to cast, and Hellfire Engine takes a while to proc. This thing casts instantly, and especially during Sunfall, where we're not even, if you saw, most of them I didn't even use my artifact or my daily because you didn't have time to get it off. You had like 1 second to unleash hell. So I would just do 3 encounters real quick in this golden warhorse to get me quick damage. So I use this because it attacks so quickly, not necessarily because it's magical, or if I'd prefer it be physical attack, but it's not. I took a little damage loss with gamble on that one. Blazing Opportunity gives combat advantage, crit sev. So executioners, menders, tacticians, assassins, executioners. Um, a second tactician I don't think would have helped whatsoever. There is a chance that the new, very very new one. Let's see if I can find it. Whenever you use your mount power, it reduces your cooldown by a few seconds. I could have probably used that. I don't want to go into detail because it's beyond the sky. I didn't use it. So the big thing is 5 damage companions, max ratings. a little bit lower item level, but it seemed to work, and I was very pleased with the results. And I think this is kind of eye-opening to a lot of people still working on their builds, how much damage we can put in our characters, that we can still cap everything and not have any uh, companion bonuses that are giving us stats. One caveat to that, as a ranger, as a hunter, you're not getting crap for stats, but as a warden, you're gonna get sorry, not weapon mastery that gives you 2.5% crit strike. Wardens and rangers both get that. Warden and hunters both get that. And then we have skirmishes gambit that increases our crit save by 10%. Plus, I used aspect of the lone wolf that gives us 5% accuracy. Um, that was a calculated bet. I don't know if that was better than Bladestorm, but I believe for the purposes of the dungeon, the accuracy might have paid off more. So the class, you're giving up damage by not having To the Wind and not having Bladestorm, but the potential to get 17.25% offensive radiance as a warden really helped out as well. So it might be a little bit harder on other classes that don't get that many stats to cap their radiance and have 5 damage companions slotted. Well, there you go. Please question, comment, or have anything to say about the build below. Stay class number winner. See you soon.